Welcome back to the Now You Know Sports Show presented by Rapco Media and Greenlight Auto Exchange. I'm not going to waste no time. Like I always say, I'm going to jump right back into it. First, we're going to pick up with a couple of things from the previous week's sports, and we're going to move into a couple of games that we got an eye on coming up this weekend. First things first, BYU and Coastal Carolina. So, Coastal Carolina had an open day. They had a team had to cancel because of COVID reasons, and BYU, of course, they were undefeated. They're trying to find their way into a Power 5 or playoff spot. So BYU decided to say, you know what? We'll take that spot. We'll fly across the country and we'll fly to South Carolina and we will play Coastal Carolina at their place. Because you know what? Come on, BYU, I can respect this. This takes guts to just do this on a whim. But maybe you should have thought twice about this one, because you flew all the way to South Carolina and let those low country boys turn your pound cake to red velvet and send you back home to the mountains of Utah looking silly. Coastal Carolina gave those boys that work this past Saturday. So BYU, I know I'm starting to show off early with it, but I'm going to go ahead and throw a pair of clown shoes on you. Because you took this game, you feeling yourself, you flew all the way across the country, and what happened? You got beat by a school that probably their first or second time even being ranked in the actual top 25 in the Power 5 ever. So, clown shoes to you, BYU. The other game we were kind of keeping an eye on this past weekend was Florida and Tennessee. I said I expected Florida to win by 20. They did not win by 20, but it was still a pretty easy game for them. All things considered, Florida won 31-19, and it was an easy enough win, but Florida still does not look the part of a championship team. Offensively, they do. Defensively, they do not. So, Florida now clinches the spot in the SEC title game with Alabama. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because we're going to devote a whole show to that probably here in the next couple weeks. But my first impressions, unless all of a sudden Florida finds a defense that can stop a nosebleed, Alabama's going to score 50, 60 points. It's going to be a trap meet. So, moving on from that, I want to give out one more set of clown shoes before I move into the last few football scores. And I want to give this set of clown shoes to the New York Jets defensive coordinator, Gregg Williams. He somehow helped the Jets snatch a defeat from the jaws of victory this weekend against the Raiders. They had been up ahead of the Raiders the whole game. Fourth quarter rolls around, there's about 6 seconds left on the clock. The Raiders are about midfield, right about that point. So, of course, they got to throw to the end zone to get a score. What happens? The Jets defensive coordinator calls zero coverage. A cover zero. For the uninitiated, cover zero basically means you man up on each receiver. One man for each receiver, and you're sending everybody else to try and sack the quarterback. And in some situations, that's a good thing. And I see what he was thinking. He was thinking, okay, they need to throw the ball 40 to 50 yards. If we can get to the quarterback quick enough, the receivers won't have time to finish their routes to get deep enough. Well, boy, did they think about that wrong. Because the 8 men rushing did not get to the quarterback in time. Derek Carr stepped up into the pocket and launched the ball to Henry Ruggs straight over the Jets defense. And I can't blame the defensive back because Henry Ruggs runs under a 4.3 in a 40-yard dash from a standing start. He's one of the fastest players in the NFL. He's going to run by you no matter what if given the opportunity. So, clown shoes this week, gonna go to Jets defensive coordinator Gregg Williams. Because, boy, you about to lose your job. Get the stands, boy. You about to lose your job. Moving on. We're going to go to both of the Monday night games and the Tuesday night games. Let's start with the Tuesday night game because it was Cowboys and Ravens. I don't think it's too much to talk about because, we've already talked about how bad the Cowboys are. How the Ravens beat up on teams they should beat, and the Ravens did what they should do. They came out and they beat up on a hobbled Dallas Cowboys team. Lamar Jackson rushed for about almost 100 yards, about 94 yards, so ain't too much to talk about there. But I will talk about the Buffalo Bills versus the 49ers on Sunday night. And if I'm looking at the Buffalo Bills right now, I see a team that nobody is going to want to play in the playoffs. They have a quarterback that can throw from a lot of different platforms. He can throw on the move. He'll put his head down and run for 7 to 10 yards if he needs to. Josh Allen is rounding into one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's steady. He's got moxie. You can tell his teammates like him and love to play for him. So the Buffalo Bills won this game 34-24 over the 49ers. And I mean, it's about what everybody expected. The Bills are actually looking like they can make some noise in the playoffs this year. So kudos to the Buffalo Bills. And the other game I want to talk about is the Washington, let's just call them the Washington Mysteries because they don't have a name right now, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this game really laid bare some of the problems. Even the Steelers, they're 11-9. 11-1 now, they got their first loss. But it laid bare some of the problems with this team. The Steelers have no running game right now. Also, the Steelers have a lot of receivers that are dropping tons of balls. The receivers for the Steelers have dropped, as a unit, 10 more passes than any other receiving unit in the NFL. That's problematic. That's leaving a lot of yards and a lot of points on the field. And teams that go far in the playoffs, they just don't do that. So the Steelers right now, I got a red alert out for them. They need to get their act together or it's going to be a quick exit from the playoffs for the boys in black and yellow. And that's real talk. And that brings us into what I'm going to say is going to be, on paper, the best matchup in the NFL this week, which is going to be Buffalo Bills and Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, that's the game this week. And if I'm looking at it from my point of view, I see two teams kind of heading in different directions right now. Steelers, like I said, they were undefeated up until last week. They're 11-1 now. But I feel like the Steelers may have plateaued a couple weeks ago, and I feel like their trajectory is downward. And if I'm looking at the Buffalo Bills, it's a team playing with a lot of confidence. It's played a tough schedule, and their confidence and their team's trajectory is on the way up, which is exactly where you want to be coming into the playoffs. So the way I see this game, I just don't see the Pittsburgh Steelers being able to put enough pressure on Josh Allen to win this game. Believe it or not. Bud Dupree for the Steelers is out. One of the other key linebackers, also out. And without those two players, that defense just doesn't have the same bite. Those boys can bark, but they don't have the same bite as they did with that. Because Bud Dupree is one of the best pass rushers in the AFC. And if you're not going to be able to get any pressure on Josh Allen, you're not going to be able to make him move off his spot, then you're going to have problems with the Buffalo Bills. I like the Buffalo Bills by 8 points. Let's call it that this weekend. Let's call it something like 34-26. I like that score. It sounds good. Give me the Bills over the Steelers this weekend. And as far as college football goes, there's really one big game I want to talk about. And it's not really a big game. This is the only game between two ranked opponents. That's going to be Miami Hurricanes against the North Carolina Tar Heels. In North Carolina is a program on the rise. Mack Brown has been the coach there a couple years now, and the recruiting is getting better. The overall coaching is getting better. The team is playing a certain way. You can tell they've bought in. And Miami is looking to return back to prominence. They want to get back to being the Hurricanes of old. It's been a long time since Miami's been relevant on the national stage. And they've had the best season in a long time that they've had this year. So I'm interested to see if they can keep it going, if they can go out and put out another good performance to end the season off, or whether North Carolina's going to come out and put a cap to their season. I mean, this is a game between two teams that are on the rise, and two teams who got a lot to prove and want to put their stamp on this season and head into the offseason on a good note. So, folks, is there anything you guys want to talk about? Anything you want to hear me talk about on the show? Certain sports, certain topics? Send us something. Send us some suggestions. We do this show for you, so we want to do what you want to see. So get in the comments. Hit us on Twitter at Now You Know Sports 1. We're on YouTube as well now at Now You Know Sports. On the weekends, I'm giving fantasy football advice. Just hit me up and get to me. All I'm gonna say now you know.